season, didn't we, Woody? We finished flying on the 28th of February and today is the 13th of March. So Woody's been fed daily a slightly larger amount than what I would normally feed him when I'm flying. So I brought his weight slowly up rather than what I did last season, and I was giving him large amounts until he eventually stopped gorging and was leaving what he didn't want. But this season I just gave him more food and I knew that he would build his weight up in a slower way. Last season during the molt, I've looked in my diary and it was the 27th of March that he dropped one feather, which was a flight feather, left or right, I can't remember now. So I'm interested to see whether this month, 27th, around that time, he will be starting to drop some main feathers. If you've noticed, I might be sounding a little bit hoarse. If anyone has watched the channel before, I had appendicitis and that had gone gangrene, and I had sepsis, back in hospital, and one thing after another. They say they come in threes. I'm on the 6th day of coronavirus now, so I managed to get away with that for a long time, probably because I'm always out flying. So I got the coronavirus and it's supposed to be this Omicron, maybe just like a cold or something like that, which unfortunately for me it seemed to get me a lot worse because my immune system was down, and it put me in bed for a couple of days where I couldn't do anything. I've had the worst sore throat ever. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm pretty much over it now. I just feel still a bit crap, but nothing like I have been. When I say that, I've still got quite a lot of stuff coming up, you know, from the chest, because it went onto my chest, and most people seem to be getting a bit of a cold with it and a sore throat, but for some reason, must have been in my immune system, it knocked me for 6. But I got over it in a few days, which is good news. But I've still been getting out in the garden each day, feeling like crap, getting the hawk out, putting him on a perch, feeding him, and then putting him away and back into bed. But you know, that's it, and he's doing all right. So I was just going to talk about a few random things, really. Hello, mate. Come here. Come on then. Come on, up. Hey, there you go. There's your old mate. Hey. So last season, I put the bow and telemetry on the 2 deck feathers, and they got caught up and, long story short, broke the 2 decks. But that was at the end of the season. But it was enough to make me realise that for the flying and the hunting that we do, it wasn't a good solution. So I eventually put just a tail clip on one deck just for the telemetry, and the bow went onto the end clip, and that for our style of hunting was a good combination. He's come through with a complete set of tail and deck, or train, complete train, and everything is good. He's a lot heavier now because he's weighing £1.14 and a half at the moment, and he may still gain some weight, and then he may lose some weight and stable out, which is what he done last year. He gorged on the first molt. He gorged up, got to a certain weight, ate just what he needed, and then the weight came down and he stabled out. And because I know that happened last season, this season is why I'm just giving him a little bit more and bringing him up slower till I can see now he's only eating what he wants to eat. So I know roughly about what to feed him each day. What I'm going to talk about now is complacency, and a mistake that I made, and what it was the fact that I got so used to this hawk, Woody, what he'd done every day, and it would be the same. So I'd go into the mews, I would pull his jesses out, let him go and he'd just hop off to his perch. And I got complacent and I started to untie him as I was going in the door, and by the time I was in, I hadn't bolted the outside door, and he jumps off and goes back to his normal position. Then 2 days ago, in the middle of this COVID illness, when I felt like crap, I'd done the same. I'd got him out, fed him, put him back in, and as I went through the door, and I'd got the jesses out of him, the wind blew the door open from the other side, spooked him, and instead of him going the way he would normally go, he went over my shoulder and out. And now I'm feeling like crap. I've got a hawk that weighs £1.14 and he's got no telemetry and he's gone. He didn't go too far, he just flew to the neighbour's house and sat on the roof. So it was raining, and that's why I put him away in the first place as quick as I did. And my hawk's sitting on the neighbour's roof in the wet, which he was not very good at flying in anyway, even at hunting weight. He just didn't want to know. And I'd fed him, and I'll tell you, it was a horrible feeling, feeling crap. And what can you do? Should be isolating anyway, so I can't really start running around the streets trying to get my hawk back. But fortunately, after about 20 minutes of calling him, eventually I got the brightest chick I could find, stood in front of Woody, offered the chick up, and he didn't even look at me. He was too busy looking around for about 10 minutes, and so I moved out of the way, because quite often hawk's reactions is caused by something that happens like that. So prey moving, a bit of rabbit moving across, or a bird, or a prey instinct. So I just got out of the way and then came back into his view again, and then brought the chick up again and then put it down and went away again, and I kept doing that until in the end I saw him start to look, and it was that sort of reaction, the natural reaction he wanted, and then he started to come over, got onto my roof, and he was only a few feet away and he still didn't want to come down. He was quite wary of me. Eventually I did get him. So I'm just saying this, I mean, please learn from my mistake. A terrible, stupid rookie mistake. It was like a pet hate for me, people losing hawks. You know, I almost done it myself, so it's so easily done. I learnt a lesson. Anyway, you see it now, we've got him back. I could have kept quiet about it, but I think we all should learn from each other, and it's the mistakes that we don't want to happen. Now, I was told when I got this hawk by a good falconer, a friend of mine, he said always have your hawk secured and always do what you do, and don't skip and get into a bad habit. But I think we all do get complacent, and there's them little things that you do and you think, I shouldn't really be doing this, but you do it. And that was what I done. I just got complacent and I thought, he's going in there, he always does. Every single day through the whole season. But this one day the wind blew, door come open, spooked him and he was gone. Easy as that. Now it could have been a different story. I might not have got him back. It was raining, it was starting to get a bit dark. It was sort of later on in the afternoon by the time I fed him. So he could have just sat there or gone somewhere else and roosted up. But the worst thing would have been trying to find him when you're unwell. So the next question is, what do we do now? Do we keep him manned up, or do we put him away and then just leave him and just keep putting food in? Well, for me that's very difficult, because I just like to interact with this hawk. So I get him out and feed him. It's very difficult for me to do what most traditionalists do, and then just put the hawk away and let it molt out, and then pick it back up after the molt and then retrain. So for me, getting him out like this is sort of entertaining him a little bit, gives him something to do. He's sitting in there now while we're doing a bit of filming, rather than sitting on his own in there. It gives me something to do. I quite enjoy it. But his attitude is definitely changing now. It almost seems like he doesn't really want to be on my fist when I go in there. He just seems to be wary of me. But once he's on the fist, he's okay. So I'm going to carry on doing this for a bit longer until eventually I can't actually get hold of him. When that happens, that happens. Last season, I think I had to go, I might have gone away for 2 weeks during the middle of that molting session, and at the end of that, just that 2 weeks has made him go a bit feral. But at the moment it's not too bad. What I find quite surprising about hawks, or the Harris hawk, is the fact that that weight makes so much difference. As soon as he's down at his hunting weight, he's much more sociable, much more loyal, and you can depend on him to follow on and come back. But just in them few ounces now, up at this weight, he's quite a different bird. And he's sitting here quite nicely now, but there's just all them little things I've noticed that have changed. The fact that when I walk out there now, instead of him sitting waiting, he'll go in, out the way, or he'll try and move away from me. He was eating the other day and started screaming at me as soon as I went out to see what he was up to make sure he was okay. He was screaming and mantling, and that wasn't happening before, and that's just in a few weeks from having him at hunting weight. So that weight makes so much difference to the attitude, and it's quite surprising really. And I remember going up to get it with my brother, and we had quite a journey because this hawk Woody, the Bloodline, was from a friend of mine down the road, a falconer. Had a Harris hawk many years ago. I believe it's like 30 years ago now. This particular hawk he had, called Izzy. Izzy went off to a falconry centre run by Jemima Perry-Jones. So the guy working up there, who was in contact with my mate, had this hawk for a couple of weeks. I think he was using it or looking after it while my friend was away, or some situation went on there. Anyway, he liked this particular Harris hawk because he was pretty tenacious in his hunting and good with people. So, long story short, and he was still breeding from that Izzy 30 years ago. So this is like a great grandson of Izzy, that particular hawk, and that's why I went so far to get it. He's been a great hawk. I know he's Harris hawks can be a Harris hawk, but I think it is important when you get them to try and get one that's been that's got a good bloodline. Like anything, I should imagine whatever you buy, they're all going to be so different. So make sure that where you get your hawk from, that is a good breeder, and there's been a good selection breeding going on. Another thing about this hawk is when I picked it up, I knew that it had no human contact whatsoever. It wasn't even in a environment where it could see humans. As far as I know, up to the 18th week. So when I got it, it was pretty wild, and if you've not seen the videos, then check back, because I've got the videos where I first got him and trained him, and it's all there, all documented down. The first time I went into the mews, and first time I picked him up, first time he'd eaten and everything else, and he was quite a different animal at the time. But he's turned out absolutely fantastic. He's had a good run this season. He's got 2 freezers full up with his moult food. Rabbits he's got in there, pheasants. He didn't get any woodcock this year, but he's certainly filled 2 freezers up. He's got plenty of gear, and yeah, he's quite a. I'm sure we're all proud of our Harris Hawk, or Harris Hawks, or Harris's Hawks, and I'm certainly proud of this one. We're out every single day, so if you've not watched this channel before, please subscribe, and as soon as the next season starts, we'll be out again daily hunting, and I appreciate everyone that's followed us through as long as they have, and all the subscribers. The subscription part of YouTube channel is a little difficult because you get lots of people viewing and not everyone subscribes, but every time someone subscribes it gives me encouragement to go and do another video, and I'm already encouraged from the amount we've got so far, but it's them subscriptions, the subscriptions, and seeing the channel growing that's showing me I must be doing something right, and will carry on and make these videos. There's a little channel I watch, and it's called the Practical Animal Channel. Now this guy is I think he's a veterinary surgeon, or he's a vet or got qualifications on that side of things. He's done many things, works in many countries, and what he does, he puts he gets people on there and interviews them, and they can be from anything to do with animals. If you like that sort of thing, have a little check out that channel. He's had some great interviews. He's had Jemima Perry-Jones on there, which is obviously falconry, so that's sort of interesting to people that like falconry, but there's been so much on there. Now the interviews can be quite varied, so some of them might not be suited to your need or your want, but I think it's worth a little look at that channel and try and get that going, because I'm sure he's going to be interviewing some more very interesting people in the future.